From the Surveyor Newsroom in sunny Miami, welcome to the Miami Real Estate Podcast, your home for expert insight on all things Miami real estate. I'm your host, Omar Windt. Let's get started. Hi, and welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Podcast. I'm Omar Windt, Communications Executive here at Surveyor Real Estate. Today, we're taking you on a tour of the Underline. The Underline, if you haven't heard of it, is a transformative project. It's going to be a 10-mile linear park that is going to repurpose unused land alongside and underneath the Metrorail for what we have already seen is a beautiful outdoor space for gatherings of individuals, events, and just overall a great quality of life, what we love here in Miami. So joining us for this conversation is the visionary founder of the Underline, Meg Daly. So Meg, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Omar. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here. We've talked about you guys a lot on the pod in the past in terms of how the Underline can and is really transforming our landscape literally and figuratively in terms of just beautifying that unused space under the Metrorail. So our hats off to you, and we want to do everything we can to raise awareness and support for this massive endeavor.
Thank you. We all need all the help we can get. So we'll take it. Thank you.
Awesome. So our listeners, as I had mentioned to you, our community of real estate professionals and residents in South Florida are, I would imagine many are already aware of the Underline, especially those that are in the Brickell area. I know you guys kicked off construction a few years ago and phase one completed amidst COVID, I think. So also hats off to you for that. You guys just started phase two of construction. So that's exciting. But there are some out there that still haven't heard of it, or maybe that are just, learning, especially with the new visitors and new residents coming to South Florida. So what I want to do, if you will, is to sort of set the table for those that don't know what the Underline is and start by sort of take me to what you call the crazy idea of the Underline and sort of how we got here to today.
Sure. So for those of you who don't know what the Underline is, about 7 years ago, I had a bike accident and broke both of my arms. And after about 2 months of being taken to physical therapy about 3 miles from my home, I said, Joe, I can just take the Metrorail, which is our elevated train, and then walk the rest of the distance from the train station to physical therapy. And there's something about not driving and experiencing your city on foot or on bike and just not, have a car, right? And walking below this train above me and this dead space below, it was just this aha moment, like, why don't we turn all this space into a park? Now, what a lot of people don't know is that I had worked in real estate, running a friend's residential real estate practice. I just sort of came in and they already had great skills and in development, but in terms of just sort of running a business and making sense of the marketing effort, and I realized that this land probably has a lot of value, and
Mm-hmm.
I thought, why aren't we doing something with it that we can return to the community? So that was the big crazy idea. A lot of the inspiration came from our sister project in New York called the High Line. I'm sure many of you all have heard of the High Line. It's really a very magical moment in New York, and it's completely transformed the Chelsea and Meatpacking District. It's called the Park in the Sky.
Right.
So it's sort of the opposite. Instead of having the rail above, this is the park below. And it's really opened up and been part of this movement in larger cities where land values are so high to take these either underutilized industrial non-assets and then really turn them into a hybrid space. The Underline is actually a rapid transit zone that now has been converted into a park and transportation with trails and all these convening areas. And so for 7 years we took it from idea to master plan, and now we have the first half mile open in Brickell. It's just incredible to see how people have adopted it so quickly and made it their park.
I personally love it, and our office, our corporate office, is here in Brickell, right off South Miami Avenue. So when I have to get over to, well, actually to get my haircut, what I love to do is take my electric scooter down through the Underline, and it's just a beautiful. It's you're sort of gliding by, and there's yoga going on, or just people walking. It's a beautiful trail and the greenery and whatnot. So it really is a special place.
Well, thank you. The first half mile, it's complicated. This is a rapid transit zone. When you get below ground, there are so many utilities or forgotten artifacts or cultural things that you need to take care of. And certainly, we need to take care of nature. This is an urban reforestation project. So we preserved all the healthy native trees that we already had. In the first half mile, we planted 30,000 plants and trees, all of them pollinators. So on any given day, you're going to see monarchs, atalas, which are endangered, and sulfur butterflies. And we thought we were really clever. Like the butterflies would stay in this place, in this garden. And it's sort of been like a takeover. Like what more joy can you have with butterflies taking over a space?
Right.
Um, and then dogs are here. So everybody who didn't have a place to walk their dog, this is a dog friendly area. We have a half court basketball, mini pitch soccer, a sound stage, which during COVID was very tricky to program. And then, this is a transit station. So you have the convergence of trolley and bus and Metrorail and people going to a place. And then they sort of pause, like I can wait in beauty, for, my next bus or my next train. And so it's really cool that it, has so many different purposes. And I think it's unique to everyone who visits.
Absolutely. And so essentially it's not only improving the beauty in the surroundings, but the quality of life. And as we saw with your sister project, that the High Line, it also increased the property value. So a lot of benefit all around here. So then Meg, this is monumental in terms of size and scope. What was it like when you initially, I understand it's a collaboration through the county and other supporters. What was that like trying to get all these minds together?
I think it's really hard to package up that answer because of the complexity of it. Um, but the good news is I didn't know anything, right? So there are a lot of people that said it had they taken it on, the first thing they would have done was, is it feasible? Let me just sort of like poke as many holes in it as possible. And I just, fell in love with the idea and the vision and really the opportunity. How often do you have 120 acres of underutilized land in the urban core? Um, Stepping back from the complexity, one of the issues is the multi-jurisdictional aspect of this. We're working on county land, adjacent properties are municipal. Each one of those municipalities has their own unique land use map and zoning approaches and priorities.
Sure.
Um, and so we just sort of treated the Underline as everybody's sandbox and come here to play with us, help us explore. And I think one of the reasons that this has been really made such a difference is that everybody sort of feels like they have skin in the game because we've listened so much. Instead of taking out pen to paper, and we had an amazing design team, James Corner Field Operations out of New York, who did the High Line. So instead of saying just go for it and be brilliant, we spoke to the community first and listened, what do you want here? And the first priority was safety.
Right.
Miami-Dade County is one of the most dangerous places to walk and bike in the United States, just despite what soundbite you hear today. These are the facts, and people are concerned about making this place safe. And what was here before was unsafe. So you're taking this dead land with unsavory characters sometimes, no lighting, no water, no infrastructure. And people say, I want to bring my kids here, my parents here. I want to be able to walk to school and bike to school again. And so that was our first priority, which is why we spend a lot of money on security. This is
Sure.
open 24/7, 365. The second priority was nature. Like, how do we make this a restorative component for the community that makes us a more resilient place? And certainly plants and trees, native plants and trees do that. And then everything else was third: gathering spaces, a destination, health and wellness programs. We have kids days. We have we have so much going on here, and that's during COVID, right? So when we're safer to be together, we'll do even more. So, and art, and we started introducing public art into the program. So this will be a 10-mile outdoor gallery.
And so of the that's a great great size for your gallery, right? So as I mentioned at the top, so you've kicked off the second phase of construction just recently. So this will be two of those 10 miles. So 2 miles parallel and below the Metrorail from Southwest 19th Avenue over to 13th Street or Coral Way. So what are we going? What will that segment feature?
So that we don't have this first half mile repeated 20 times to equal 10 miles. So because the community was very clear about what their priorities were in their neighborhoods, we really addressed that. Certainly very dog friendly. That's a high priority.
Hmm.
People want playgrounds. There's a dearth of playgrounds, places for kids to do stuff. We have a 4-acre playground in phase two, nature inspired, right next to Simpson Park, which is one of
Nice.
the only preserved hardwood hammocks in Florida. We're repurposing the entire Vizcaya station so we can have, we can have community events, we can have farmers markets, we can have free yoga programs. And then, believe it or not, down by Southwest 17th, adjacent to US 1, we'll have our first bioswale, a series of bioswales, which are green infrastructure to remediate stormwater runoff. And the plants you select, believe it or not, actually clean the water before they dump it back into the aquifer. So they're not just green infrastructure, it's smart infrastructure. And then the last is with a partnership with Hotwire Communications, we're working on having ubiquitous Wi-Fi. So no matter where you are on the Underline, you'll have Wi-Fi access. So if you're a kid and you're at home and you don't have broadband or you don't have Wi-Fi access, you can come here. So there's a digital divide piece to this, as well as how can we use technology to build on that experience for people visiting the park, and sort of like a deeper dive, like how can we have lifelong learning through here through technology and innovation.
That's amazing. So you're checking off a lot of boxes there. And so the construction of phase two is expected to last through 2023, I believe.
Yes. So the first half mile took a couple of years. There was about an 8-month slowdown because of supply chain and people getting sick during COVID.
Sure.
Um, the next 2.25 miles will take 2 years. Now, here's the kicker: the last 7 miles are one phase.
Ah,
So from North Grove all the way to Dadeland, this entire project will have to be completed by the end of 2025, which is a requirement by a federal grant that the project was awarded. And the other thing is, like, how is this little staff doing this? Well, we have a great partner in Miami-Dade County, and early on decided that we'll be the fundraisers, but we wanted the county to build because they have the capacity, to really sort of take these grants, deliver on
sure.
them, do all the paperwork, the audit, which is an enormous amount of work, and then it gets delivered back to our team that operates as a conservancy. So the county builds, we take over operations. So every time you see someone picking up a cigarette butt, which by the way, smoking is not allowed, don't smoke, don't throw your beer cans and plants. It makes them very unhappy. We have crews that pick that up. So this is the sparkles every day.
That's great. So the maintenance, the upkeep is there, the security is there, super important, as you mentioned. In terms of, excuse me, community support and fundraising. So tell me a little bit about how our listeners can donate, support, and I know you have amazing events to bring people together. So tell me a little bit about that.
We starting October 18th, we're going to have what's called maybe 16th. It's Family Day. It's sort of a takeover of the first half mile, and we'll have grant funded culture and arts programs for children. Each one of the classes is half an hour. We'll have 16 classes a day. And then we're taking over our gym. We have these big life-size Lego blocks that kids can play with. They're 750 pieces. They build their own mansion, their own
Wow,
palaces, for mom and dad.
that sounds like fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We're trying to get 4,000 children, not just next to the Underline, but from other communities served through those programs. We need volunteers. We have this afternoon, we have story time on the Underline, which kids come out and listen to a student reader. I mean, we have days in the dirt. Last weekend, we had 20 volunteers helping us really sort of weed and replant and clean up. And there's something very cathartic about weeding. I don't know what it is, but you really feel very accomplished after an hour, even in the summer sun. You can really see the fruits of your labor, and it feels real good. So there's lots of ways for people to volunteer. You sign up at theunderline.org. We will not overwhelm you with messages, but if you volunteer, we'll definitely find something meaningful for you. And you can also make a contribution of any size at theunderline.org. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and every contribution is fully tax deductible.
If you want to check out the Underline for yourself, and I highly encourage you to do so, they have some great events that you and the family can go check out before the end of the year. 3 of those are on December 4th, including Day in the Dirt, which is going to be some therapeutic weed pulling for you in Phase 1, Brickell's Backyard. They've also got Holidays on the 4th, which is going to involve some great fall treats and your lovable pets. And then there's also a virtual yoga for those of you that would prefer to stay socially distanced for the time being. Then on the 8th, there's story time at the Underline. And finally, on the 11th of December, Junior Heat Skills and Drills Basketball Clinic. That sounds like fun. Go work on those, those dribbling and shot skills for our future Heat players out there. All right, so we'll see you out there.
So, Meg, what else? Final thoughts for our listeners, and sort of what you want to leave us with today?
Well, everybody has a voice, and we want to hear everybody's ideas. Everything that we're doing on the Underline was somebody else's idea. And if you think that you can bring value to this project with the skill set, with your will, we welcome, your ideas as well as your help with open arms. The last, I think I want to point out is that this is not a project of one person. It is a project of so many people. I chair 2 boards. One is the Conservancy and the other is Friends. And the Friends, we're sort of the visionaries. We're the crazy people that this is all we think about all the time. And we're the ones who have helped secure $140 million for construction. And that was not done all by me. So attorneys, realtors, bankers, everybody's help is welcomed here, and we can put it to work. And the second is that I don't want this project to be known as Meg's project. This was dreamed by the community. It's been driven by will be delivered to the community. And we just want to make sure that whatever we do here serves that end to make this a better place that's more equitable, connected, and really more accessible for people throughout Miami-Dade County. So help us if you want. Please visit, come out and have some fun. And if you have a great idea, shoot it our way.
I love it. So we're going to leave it there. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing your amazing project and vision. We invite our listeners to get in there and support. Let's make this happen and continue improving this amazing city with, what the weather and the sunshine and all that is one of the best parts of Miami. And with projects like this, Baywalk and some others out there, we can really enjoy that true Miami, South Florida lifestyle. So thanks again, Meg.
Omar.
Oh, yeah, come on in.
New York has the High Line, Atlanta has the Belt Line, Miami has the Underline. Miami is not just up and coming. We have arrived. Let's own it, and let's keep delivering excellence every day. Dream big, go long, and bring it home.
I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, you were listening to Meg Daly, founder of The Underline. Make sure that you support them. And remember that here in Miami, the future is always bright. Take care, folks.
From all of us here in Miami, where the future is always bright. Until next time.